Happy Wednesday, everybody. Okay, before jumping in, this is tricky because I would just need to set up some context. I like to talk about purpose, like what is the purpose of things? Back when I did Totus Tuus, I used to use this example a lot. Think of an apple. I have an apple in my hand. It's invisible, but pretend it's there, okay? This apple has worms and it's rotting. So the question is this a good apple? And of course, instinctively, I would say no. Right? But what if I told you what I wanted to do with this apple is feed it to my pigs? Now, is it a bad apple or is it a good apple? When I look at it, suddenly I think, well, if it's just for the pigs, then it's a perfectly good apple. What changed? Before it was a bad apple, now it's a good apple. What changed? The purpose. Before I was going to eat it and it wasn't good for me to eat, it would not have fulfilled its purpose of nourishing me. But if it just needs to nourish pigs, it does fulfill that purpose, therefore it's a good apple. In other words, when we know the purpose of a thing, like an apple, then we can tell whether it's good or it's bad. So that brings up the question, what is our purpose? What is the meaning of life? That's not an ambitious question at all. I like to talk about it. So for a long time, as I've asked that question, I've always pulled a phrase from the Baltimore Catechism. It had a question along the lines of, why did God create man? And the answer was this: God created man to know him, love him, and serve him in this life, and be with him forever in the next. What is our purpose? What did God create us for? To know God, love God, and serve God in this life, and be with him forever in the next. That is the meaning of life. And so if we want to ask ourselves, am I good at life? Then I can look at that. Do I know God? Do I love God? Do I serve God? And am I set on being with him forever in the next life? So I was thinking about that the other day, specifically January 12th. This is my spiritual journal, and I hope I didn't show you anything confidential. We'll be fine. But as I was thinking about that, another phrase jumped into my head, where Jesus says, I no longer call you servants, but friends. And this is what I wrote down from there. You ready? I enjoy this. I hope you enjoy it too. So point number 1, something is good when it fulfills its purpose. We talked about that. Apple. Great. Point number 2, our purpose, know, love, serve God in this life and be with him in the next. Great. We talked about that too. Baltimore Catechism. Perfect. Third point, a servant can know, love, and serve God in this life and be with him forever in the next. A servant can do that. And Jesus says, I no longer call you servants, but friends. So that brings up a question, which is the fourth point. What can a friend do that a servant can't? And as I reflected on that, I mean, a servant and a friend can basically do all the same things, except for a friend can be loved. A friend can be loved, and a servant can't be. Or, I mean, if a servant is loved, then all of a sudden he's more than a servant. He also is a friend. So that's what a friend can do that a servant can't. So then fifth point, assuming that what a friend can do that a servant can't do is be loved, that must mean that our purpose as the friends of Jesus, our purpose has to be what the friend can do that the servant can't. Our purpose as Jesus' friends is to be loved. So, sixth point, we are good servants when we know, love, serve God in this life and strive to be with him in the next. We are good servants because we are fulfilling our purpose as servants when we do that, and that's a beautiful thing. But seventh point, we are good friends when we allow ourselves to be loved. We fulfill our purpose as friends when we allow ourselves to be loved. I've been reflecting a lot on the idea of allowing God to love me, and I mean, life of faith is something where I do try to grow in virtue all the time, and that's great, but I've been reflecting on how, at its core, it's even more important to let God love me. And as cliche as it sounds, that's hard to do. What gives me value as a person is not my actions, although my actions are important. What gives me value is God's love for me. God asks me to do things. Even if I don't do them, God loves me. I'm not trying to say that everybody goes to heaven. Work out your own salvation in fear and trembling before the Lord. I'm not going to do that over YouTube. What I am trying to say is that God loves us. Is that earth-shattering? It kind of is, at least for me. I've been hearing it since second grade or kindergarten. Still earth-shattering. I'm just a mess, from the toes on my feet to my messy hairstyle. Poetic, see? That's why I have this crazy hair too. All right. That's all I got. God bless and ciao. Hey, you remember that setup that I used last week where the ceiling was too short and all that? I'm back. I'm still here. This is my corner in the world. I found it.